How's it going, everyone? Vince here with On to the Next podcast. This is episode 27, and this one was recorded in Portland, Oregon at the WordCamp studio, where me and my boy Joe Maloof talk a little digital media, little AI, a little of everything, guys. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this one. It's a little bit of what I've been doing. So, guys, check this one out. This is On to the Next.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my clock, they tugging it. Putting up numbers, 99 problems, and I still kept it 100. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my clock, they tugging it.
All right, everybody, on to the next episode 27. I've kind of broken the halfway mark. When I started out this podcast, Joe, this is Joe Maloof.
Hey guys.
Maloof is on fire. It's kind of a thing we've had this because I obviously, if you've seen a short that I created, I said Maloff, and he's like, "What are you doing? My name is not. I'm a Maloof."
Right.
So
Maloof is on fire.
But so this is episode 27, and when I started out this podcast, I was like, I'm gonna get 52 weeks in straight, which I kind of broke over the last couple of weeks because I've been busy with some of the stuff we're doing right now. So we'll kind of go over some of the stuff that we're doing. Joe, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah. I mean, we had a fun night last night. We're here in Portland, Oregon, on the set of a WordCamp. It's the WordCamp studio, podcast studio, which is so cool that they did. I mean, for them to like set up something like this, I was like, check, yes, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And you were like, we're doing what?
Yeah.
So, but dude, I am so glad that I've been able to take this journey right now. You know, I always think about pivotal times in our life where we kind of move from next points in our life to next points. And I'm kind of in this world now, and you just happen to be a guy that's been really resourceful for knowledge, for things that in my life. And we kind of reconnected from, it's been how many years since it's
10
been
or 12
at
since we
least
probably seen each other last.
I'm going to say more than that because my wife has not met you, and we've been married 23 years.
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way it's been 23 years.
I mean, you don't even know what my kids look like, but
Oh.
that's what happens
Wow.
when you have good friends that you know 20 plus years you could kind of just reconnect. And I've had a lot of people on the show that have been like that I've just reconnected and been so happy to do so. But you come in a time in my life where the reason why we're here. And we're at the WordCamp US 2025 in Portland, Oregon. And I think the biggest thing I've taken away about this journey and this week is in correlating it to On to the Next is how what we're doing right now and what the meaning of what we're doing right now is kind of helping our clients, helping people move to the next. So everybody, like I said, I know I'm taking up this time of intro, but this is Joe Maloof, and I kind of want you to get into what kind of brought you into this world, because you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, you know, when I was in high school, you know, I started kind of on the print media side doing, you know, graphics, logos for concerts. I mean, back in the day, you were doing that kind of thing. So I got connected back then with like Joe, Will, kind of this small group of guys that were kind of all connected back then. We were all kind of the same age. You guys were a little older than me.
Yeah.
I was still in high school. You guys were kind of in your early 20s, and you guys were just doing a ton back then. And I kind of had this passion and kind of drive, you know, for the web. It was really early web back then.
Yeah.
It was still like multimedia is what they called it.
Yeah.
Digital wasn't even a thing yet. But just fell in love with it and decided, you know, I would watch you guys. You guys were doing, you know, music. You guys were doing design. I remember sitting and watching Joe and Will just kind of kill it on Corel Draw back in the day.
Corel.
Yeah, I haven't even used that since I've been doing this. But I decided like I wanted to hit a certain level, and I think back then all I had was Microsoft Publisher.
Yeah.
Because like it's just the family computer I had at home. So I just I wanted to be great at it. I wanted to be good, so I decided to go to school and get a degree in design. So I did that. Fell in love with design early on. Initially just as print on the traditional side of the business, and then over time fell in love with the business side of it. And then digital came and web came and Web 2 came. When I started it was Web 1, which was just like, let's just build a website with HTML and put it out there. And then Web 2 came with like Facebook and MySpace, and to age myself a bit, I guess all of us a bit.
Yeah, you just put me like 6 years ahead of you, so everybody kind of knows. So
yeah, but I say that all to say that like I really fell in love with digital quickly. So the traditional side, although I spent a lot of time in my early career kind of on the traditional, and the traditional is like your print magazines, your television ads, your that type of stuff. But digital was just, you can build something and then you could design it and then you can build it.
Yeah.
So for me it was just, it had a better draw. So yeah, that's how I got into the space.
Yeah, and you've kind of been a part of, you started out as a designer, right? And then kind of worked your way through agencies in the digital media world to put yourself in a position where you're like, okay, I'm kind of a top part of an agency helping them market them as a whole.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want you to talk about how moving forward into your time with even some of the agencies that you recently left, what you felt like was the biggest mover of the digital media space. I mean, what has been the biggest movement you think in this world?
Yes, I think just to kind of step back quickly, when you work in the advertising space, there's different kind of levels, right? You work on the client side or you work on the agency side. And for those viewers that don't know, like the agency side is like your typical ad agency. It's like Mad Men on TV. Like when you're watching that, it's a lot of client pitches. It's understanding clients' businesses. It's digging deep and building campaigns to help them tell their story. So when you're in marketing, agency is always the place to be, but it's really tough to get in.
Yeah.
It's just you kind of gotta either know someone or you just have to be very proactive and just keep interview. Sooner or later someone will give you like an entry level role somewhere. You're making next to nothing, you're kind of doing all the grunt work, but your foot's in the door.
Yeah.
So that's how I started. Like I got in doing the sucky work, but I loved it because I was at an agency.
Yeah.
And the other benefit of being at an agency is you work on a lot of different clients all the time.
Yeah.
So one day you could be working on healthcare, and then the next day you're doing technology or a SaaS platform. I mean, that's today because SaaS wasn't around back then. But like, you just have the ability you're working on a construction company site or a commercial for something else. So I did spend a lot of my time in the agency space. But my first agency was a digital agency in Denver. That was just starting out. It was a small agency when I got there, and I was there for almost 10 years and was able to kind of see the growth from, 7 of us. I think there was 10 of us when I first, to 50, at the end. So I kind of saw that revenue growth and all the what to do and what not to do when you're taking on clients. Like when did we take on clients that were just too big?
Yeah.
Because the dollar was awesome, but then we're in the middle of it and we're like, man, what do we sign up for? But all of those growth things were so huge. So to get back to your question, you asked,
what has been the biggest change in the digital media space, marketing
since I've been in it.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're seeing it a lot now. I mean, aside from AI, which is like the key.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about AI now. How is it going to affect our jobs? How's it going to affect, you know, from every industry, right?
Yeah.
And in our industry, it's a key topic because we're talking about coding.
Yeah.
And like you have, coding is like a very specific, it's like textbook, you know, it's syntax. We've written out kind of how, it's written out how it should be written, you know? So that's a perfect example of a computer can do all this, right? But I know we'll talk about this a little bit more, but it's like, at what point can AI not do something, right? So it can do that, but I think from a marketing perspective, one of the key things kind of going back to this textbook piece is writing.
Yeah.
So you can write content, it can write content, right? AI is crazy. We've all played with it. It's like I started out with AI by asking it when I first heard about ChatGPT. It was like 2 years ago. It was like in its infancy, and I remember I went in my fridge and I like took inventory. I'm a single guy, so I don't have a lot in there. So I like took inventory, like what was in there, and then I went to ChatGPT and I was like, okay, here's what I have. What can I make? That was like my first, you know, touch of AI.
First experience,
Yeah, because I looked in there, I'm like, and it started because my kids were like, Dad, we have nothing. We have no food.
Yeah.
And I'm like, want to bet? So I ChatGPT'd it, and then I started thinking to myself, like, oh, you know what would be awesome is if, and there are some apps out there that can take a picture of inside your fridge, like the higher end fridges. I'm like, dude, you can integrate AI, and you can just say, hey, what can I make for dinner?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, based on the fridge, you have this. Just doesn't know that everything in my fridge is expired, but.
So you were talking about coding, and we talked about this, is because you started out in the beginning process of where, if you're building on a platform like WordPress, being that's why we're here today, you had to code.
Yeah. So in the beginning, you know, classic WordPress is what they call it.
Yeah.
You know, to build a theme, you had two options. You could either build it from scratch, right? Break down the template parts, build it into what it is today, or you used a template.
Yeah.
Right? Which you can still kind of do today, but it was just different. There wasn't page builders like there are, you know, there's page builders like Elementor and, you know, those type of things that even simplify it for kind of the average person that wants to build a site.
Yeah.
But then they're also really powerful. You know, you can do some really cool stuff with it. So.
Yeah, because I think about it because I'm a musician. I always think about it from the aspect of you had to know how to read music in sense. It's kind of the same correlation. You had to know how to write music, you know? Now it could be where it's kind of the same thing where you don't have to know how to write music to do music. You know, back in the olden days.
The olden days.
But you had to kind of read and write out music to give everybody else the same perspective. If you're, composing, you know, to show everybody else this is your part, you know, it had to be put on paper. And that's kind of what coding was. But now, like you said, there's platforms where you could build these templates on and inside, which is easier for a guy like me because coming into this world, I was like, oh yeah, I'm not, I've seen code, but I don't understand it, you know? Yeah. And it makes it a lot more, tangible to do some of the work that I've been able to do now. And I mean, I love it, but I love guys like you who really understand it's like opening up the hood and you're like, okay, this is what things look off. I could just see it in the code. Yeah. And that's a cool, because it kind of makes it more of an art form than anything. And I think that's really cool, and I respect that in you and being able to do that kind of stuff. So I want to kind of touch on, because we, like I said, we're here at the WordCamp, and WordPress is a building platform for websites. It's why I came, because I needed to get some knowledge. And in saying that, I mean, we all need knowledge on what we're building on, what we're utilizing, the tools that we're using. We need to know how to use them. And I think the biggest thing right now, and what I wanted to get out of this, is understanding and conveying a message of why am I building on WordPress, and why it makes sense for my clients, why it makes sense for the people who think I don't need all that stuff. I could just build on another platform.
Yeah.
And not to talk bad about other platforms, but platforms like Wix. Wix is probably the biggest one outside of like just that has an all-in-one kind of thing. And but I think it's important to let people know, and especially with what we're doing, how we're helping people move on to their next in what we're doing. So kind of give me why you started really working. How long have you been working on WordPress, actually?
I think it's been maybe 20 years.
So,
hold on, what was 20 years ago? 2006?
Yeah.
So maybe almost 20 years, at least 15 years.
So at the time, were there the Wix out?
No.
It was just...
Yeah, there was a handful of platforms. So we talked a little earlier about Web 1 that transitioned into Web 2, right? So Web 1 was kind of your initial start of the web. It was, we create an HTML document that says hello and has some content on it. We upload it to a server and it's there, right? The browser serves it. You can type in a URL and it goes there. Web 2 was like taking it further. Like it was like, let's integrate a database and let's start interacting on the web. Let's start commenting. Let's create a community, right? And that's where the MySpaces and the Facebooks came out.
Yeah.
So kind of right around that time of like Web 1 and Web 2 is where these content management systems started coming out. So back in the day, it was like, as a developer, you would build a framework for a client website and you would start from scratch. Like you would literally, and some people still do this today, right? Depending on the use case, some people still do. But you're basically building, in essence, like a Wix or a WordPress every single time for every client, right? You're getting into PHP, you're getting your PHPMyAdmin, which is like a database. You're setting that up. You're referencing the data. You're figuring out how to get it in there, right? You're like creating all these fields. That was how it was for every project. You started to create like workflows, right? So you're like, oh, I've already done this work.
Yeah.
So for the next client, I'm gonna save that kind of chunks of code and I'm gonna use it, right? That is kind of in a sense how some of these CMSs started to evolve, because it was like, why are we reinventing the wheel every single time, right? So
let's just build standard templates that we could just plug and play.
Or frameworks. Like that's, it's not necessarily the template, but it's like the framework. Like let's build a framework that allows us to be more efficient, that allows us as like teams of people all over the country or all over the world, in a sense, like WordPress, one of the most used CMSs out there, can use, and we create this community and we build it together and we all come together and you know, we have like this commonality of building on it, right? So I started working on it back then, but that's where it started. So back then there was a handful. There was like Drupal, Joomla is one of the first ones I started. If you do any web stuff, some of this will make sense, but it was like Drupal, Joomla, WordPress were kind of like the core, right?
Yeah.
WordPress was known though to have a really good UX. Like, so that's why a lot of common people just started using it. It started as a blog.
And you say UX, user experience.
Yeah, user experience. So when you get on it, it's just easy to use. Like, it's not complicated. You're not like, what am I looking at?
Yep.
It's just as clear and, you know, makes sense. So And it hasn't changed drastically. Like, it's gotten a lot more advanced and complex, and the features have really, but WordPress today and 15 years ago when I started using it still feels the same. It's like
Yeah.
Jeep.
Yeah,
You know, like
that's a great example.
Yeah,
'Cause-
it's
yeah,
so. Yeah, like when I first started using it, it was different. It was the same thing. You would build websites, and it's a content management system. So it's
Yeah.
designed to, like, you load content into it, and then you strategically are like, okay, how can I use this content
yeah.
to tell my story?
So let's kind of get into that because I think, like I said, coming into this, I need to get I need to get answers about why I'm building on WordPress and how it makes sense for my client, because all in all, the goal is to let them be able to use something like I hand it over to them. They're able to use something that is not, I guess, they're looking at it like they're trying to read music and they don't read music. But I think a lot of the tools that WordPress and the plugins that have been kind of given, and WordPress is able to, or you're able to build on to WordPress, have been so useful. One of them being Elementor, and I say Elementor because that's kind of what I'm using right now. And you've used that, and you've used a couple different other plugins to help you, but it kind of seems one that makes sense for me. And I always think about how are my clients gonna be able to use this back end to like build their content and everything.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, with what we're doing, how does this, do you believe, make more sense than just your standard? Because there's a reason why people are using WordPress so much. It's like 6 out of 10.
Yeah, 60. I think it's about 60% of the entire internet.
Yeah, uses WordPress.
Yeah, maybe 40. It's a lot. It's more than half.
Do you think it's more for the customizing, being able to customize for your clients, or do you think it's for that it is like easier and more UX, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of things.
Yeah.
I think number one, the cost. All right, the cost to there's things that get a little confusing sometimes. There's WordPress.com,
Yeah,
which is similar in a sense to Wix, but you're still using WordPress. You don't have to be technical. You can set it up, integrate it, go, right?
Yeah.
And then you have WordPress.org, which is the actual software piece. So you can download the software and you can do whatever you want with it.
yeah,
Like, that's what's cool. So, and that's the beauty of like open source. So WordPress is an open source project, which means nobody really owns it, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of this code that's been released out. There's a core that gets updated by a team of talented people, and most of them are here today.
yeah,
And it's like, hey, let's build a freaking awesome web together with this tool, right?
Yeah.
And this is a tool that powers like 60% of the web. I mean, we're talking billions of websites.
yeah,
Sites like that Disney uses, sites that White House uses, like
yeah,
these are like sites that you're on every single day are running on WordPress. You don't even realize it. So when to get back to your question on why WordPress, right?
Yeah.
Why Elementor? So WordPress at a core, and I'll answer this quickly. WordPress at a core is basically a content management system that you can load a blog in and you can display it, right? But like, how do I make it look pretty? Like, how do I make it so I can align two objects next to each other and I can pull content in here, right? So that's where Elementor comes in for like the typical person who is a business owner or a marketer, but maybe they don't have a super complex development team
yeah,
on staff, right? So that's like your average company, right? Even mid-market companies, like they don't have full development teams on staff. They have marketing teams that are technical that need to be able to make changes quickly. So that's where Elementor comes in. So Elementor sits on top of WordPress. and it basically becomes a page builder in a sense. So it's similar to Wix. For everybody that's used Wix, you're basically turning an open source piece of software into similar of a Wix where you can just build whatever you want. It's easy, it's straightforward. However, it's extremely powerful at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, just because it's a page builder like Wix, you could do anything. And when we've done it together.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we've worked on projects where I'm like, let's do that. Like, you just think of the idea and we do it.
And for people, I guess, because I didn't understand this, just literally a few months back, to where how does what you're building on affect the way your company is seen online, the way it's seen in the if you're trying to use it for a marketing tool. And I think that's more and more as I go along, I'm like, this is why I'm building on what I'm building on, because it's gonna move my client's website into a space that makes sense for them. Because in like today's world, you got to think about a website being a marketing tool, being an asset for the way other people look at them. Do you think, I mean, like I said, I know that people think I could throw up a website and have it built and I could do it myself for $1,000, but we talk about print ads and how, and I kind of thought about this. I'm like, it would kind of like be putting a brochure out there compared to a proposal packet, to where it actually is geared towards your customers, or you're just kind of like a face, you know, you have just this piece of paper that is like, well, this looks cool. Like, I might check this out, but if you're looking at a proposal packet, it's geared towards you. Yeah. And you want to look into that. Do you find the similarities of like using a WordPress compared to like a Wix? And like I said, people who build on Wix, I think there's a lot of people who it makes sense for.
At the time.
Yeah.
Wix makes sense sometimes. If you're just starting a business, you just need to get something out there, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But where things start to transition is, like, I've had conversations with lots of small businesses. So in my career, I've had the honor of working with enterprise brands, mid-size down to small business, right? And a lot of small businesses are like, it's really tough for them to understand why someone would ever spend $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 on a website. Like, why?
Yeah.
Right? But that's the difference, is like, when we're talking about building a website that works, right, and not just functionally works, that actually works to like drive business for your, like drive traffic and leads for your business, right? That's what it's about. When you build on Wix, you're building a website, not just Wix, anything. You can do the same thing with WordPress.
And we only say Wix because it's the most popular,
it's
all-in-one bundled way of building your host. Everything is built through Wix.
Yeah, which is similar to WordPress.com. Like,
yeah,
there's nothing bad about them. Like, they do the job. But where a lot of that extra investment comes from is kind of what you were talking about with the brochure piece, right? It's, you're thinking deeper about the why behind things.
Yeah.
So you're pulling in personas, like, who are my customers? What are they looking for? What problems are they trying to solve, right? Starting to think through like what are like lead magnets, right? Like, how let's figure out what problems they're trying to solve. Let's build a lead magnet. Let's do the marketing. Let's think, like, let's be purposeful and strategic. And I'll say that over. You've heard me say that a million times, right? I say it in every meeting. Like, marketing is about being purposeful and strategic. So you think through all that. You build a strategy, and that's where these big budgets come from, you know. But those are what move the needle, like, and companies that understand it pay it.
Well, are companies that, and I'll say, like, so right now, building for a company that his established experience is 30 years, but his business is a new business because he's starting just fresh with his business. but how do we show all that experience through what we're doing? And to me, building on a platform, a CMS like WordPress, is what makes sense the most for him, because then I could actually customize for his clients. Like I said, building a proposal packet for his clients and knowing that I have the right tools in place to do so. Because it's really been knowledgeable, this has, because it kind of, it's almost like confirmation of why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm building the way I'm building. And I remember when you were like, we need to get out to this because it's going to be beneficial for you and for me.
Yeah.
But it's something that, and it has been, and I appreciate you pushing me to get out here, because it has been. And I always like to correlate everything as far as, like I said, how is this, I mean, I'm kind of moving into this world, but I'm also like thinking of how am I going to help people? How am I going to help clients move on to their next?
Yeah.
I mean, what you're doing and building the way you're building, what do you think has been the biggest thing that you've seen to help people move on, like move the needle, you say,
Yeah.
with their business?
Yeah, that's what clients care about.
Yeah.
Like, I always think about this no matter what size of business I've been able to work on, right? From the small agencies where I'm working with like small businesses that are just trying to figure it out, just trying to pay their bills, they're just trying to sell, we're all figuring it out at that point, to mid-sized businesses that have 300 employees, to like enterprise companies that
Yeah.
have 20,000 employees, you
Yeah.
know? Like, clients hire an agency or a consultant or a marketing person because they have a problem to solve. And that problem keeps them up at night.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's, I have to be able to prove more leads. If it's a small business, like I have to sell stuff on Amazon. I got to sell stuff in my store. Like, how do we get more customers in here, right? Like, it's a problem that bugs them and it bothers them enough to say, I need to reach out for help, right?
Yep.
So that help is usually in a consultant like you or an agency or, you know, what we're doing. And I'm passionate, I know you're passionate about helping people. Like, that's why we do this.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about the money. Like, it really, I get rewarded when like I make my client look like a hero. Like,
Yeah.
that is my goal, you know? And if you can make them look like a hero, they'll refer you to someone else. Like, because you just have to stay focused on that. So it comes back to like really caring about that and remembering and reminding, like, why are we here? You know what I mean? We're here because the client has a problem, and that problem always leads to a goal. And the goal is what? Increase traffic on the website, get more leads, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So every decision that you make along the way, you're always revisiting that goal. Like, is what we're doing addressing this goal, this
Yeah.
problem, right? Because at some point you got to get on the phone with the client and they're going to say, okay, I just spent $500, $1,000, $10,000, whatever they spent, right? Like, we have to be able to show, okay, this is the effort that we did that, you know.
Yeah. Where's the return?
And that matters.
It
Like, those
does.
conversations suck when it's not there. But if you care and you're intentional and you're purposeful, and it comes back to the web, right? Because we're building a tool that helps you drive your business forward, right? And WordPress is a powerful tool to do that. Like, you can take that CMS and you can do anything with it.
Yeah.
Like, you can make it an e-commerce store. You can drive leads. You can, I mean, you can do anything. And that's kind of where this is all kind of wrapping up to. It's WordPress is a powerful platform that you can do anything for, but it's accessible, right?
Yeah.
It's affordable. It's, anybody can build on it. Anybody can learn it.
Yep.
And the ecosystem is huge.
Yeah. And the tools for WordPress are just getting more innovative, more, I guess, user-friendly. The user experience is just, they've really upped their game as being able to utilize some of the plugins And that's what I like about it. That's what's made it a lot easier for me to, I mean, because I need to be able to convey, and it's been a learning experience for me, but the learning experience has been, I mean, like, this is actually attainable of making these experiences happen for our clients. And I mean, because when I was younger, I played sports. You know, I was like, I love sports. I love competition. And I always think about that going into a new project. Like, I don't know if it's so much competing against myself of like saying, I need to see something move the needle.
Yeah.
And when you see that needle move, you're like, that's why I did this. You know, it's like a victory.
Yeah.
It's like getting a touchdown at a football game, you know?
Yeah, and we talked about this a little earlier on that point, that like one of the things I love most about digital is that it's so measurable.
Yeah.
Like every project you go into it's like a football game. Like when I talk about purposeful and strategic, we're talking about, okay, we're about to go into a game, right? We know the players that they have, we know the players that we have.
Yep.
And let's kind of figure out a strategy. Who needs to be on who, right? What kind of plays do they have? What are they most likely to do? So when we're talking about being purposeful, or I guess when I'm saying purposeful and strategic, we're thinking through all of that in advance from a business perspective.
Yeah.
And then we're launching, we're building a plan, we're building a website that addresses those things, right? And then once we launch it, digital is amazing because then we have data. And that's kind of what draws all of this together is now we have data to pivot, right? So the game started.
Yeah.
We have like all of our analysts up high looking down, the coaches, we're the coaches, we're running and now we're starting to look at the data and we're like, all right, we need to pivot. Like what we thought was going to work didn't work, or it's not working the way that we need to, or this data is telling us otherwise. Digital is beautiful. And that is we talked about this the other day, that so many companies have so much data and they have no idea what to do with it.
Yeah.
But the power of it is all there.
So, and we got a chance to listen to one of the keynote speakers, Danny Sullivan, head of search, one of the guys who's head of search for Google. And it was almost entertaining watching him outside of the conference. He got outside the conference just to talk to people.
Yeah.
And people were like upset at him because, and we talk about AI because AI has kind of been a director for Google and the way people search. So people will just leave, like their content is all inputted through AI is like searching content to get answers from. And this content is put up on Google, and now they're like, well, Google just gave me the answer, but you see all the people and the links for all the people where AI got this information from.
Yeah.
And so this is why people are kind of scared, kind of like, AI is just taking my plate, pretty much like thinking plagiarizing me and putting it out there. But I think that knowing that AI is actually pulling from your content, I mean, it's a good thing. It's just the way we pivot to say, hey.
Well, and it's a lot of these like publications, they have advertising deals. They have advertisers they have to make happy. Like, you know what I mean? So like the goal is we write all this content, we build all this amazing content that drives all this traffic, but yet they're never visiting our site because Google's just giving them what they want right away.
Yeah.
And Danny said it. Danny said the goal is to get you off Google as quick as possible.
Yes.
But then that's a tough part because then you know what I mean?
Yeah, because if it's already there,
yeah, and he was awesome.
Let me just copy paste this, and I'll just use this information.
Yeah, and the reason people were I wouldn't say they were mad. I think they're frustrated because they're passionate.
Yeah,
right?
they're
passionate because we want to solve problems for our clients.
Yes.
And and you're right in front of the guy that is in the rooms talking about these. And I mean, I didn't see any other keynote where that happened. Like there was like 25, 30 people surrounding him, just like questions. Some people were like being not combative, but just passionate.
Yeah.
And he had, he's like, trust me, it was super cool to see, because it makes me proud to be a part of an industry where people care about their clients.
Well, it's like you want your work to matter, and when you get your platform kind of taken away from you, you feel like you do, because AI is saying, hey, this guy has really good content of answering those questions. I'm just going to pull from here because it's out there for AI to pull from. And I think that's where people get scared of AI. Like, if I put it out there, AI is able to take that information and utilize it for itself.
Which in the end, hopefully it draws leads back to us. Like, AI is this whole new world that we're all trying to figure out together, right? It's moving so fast.
Yeah.
There's no real standard about what is the standard. Like, how do we optimize for this? There's ideas floating, right? And there's these concepts, things we should be doing to make sure that our sites are, like AI ready, for like AI agents. But until then, it's like the Wild West right now.
But it's knowing also, because people think about SEO, how I make my website, how I make my company get the notoriety that needs to happen. And everybody thinks about keywords, content. What is the driving force of AI pulling my content? And that's the game that I like, because like you're saying, you have all the coaches, all the analysts up in the booths and saying, like, this defense is like not letting us get anywhere.
Yeah. But you have that data, but companies don't know how to use that data.
Yeah.
That's where there's value in using someone like us,
Yeah.
is we help you see that data and figure out how to pivot.
Yes.
Without it, you're just guessing. You're like, oh, I'm throwing money at it. Is it working? That's why I love what I do. Like, and with the AI thing, with SEO, like, that's a big thing in the industry right now too.
Yep.
Is AI replacing Google search, right? And we've had conversations at happy hours, right? Like with other people, is AI replacing Google search? And I read an article recently that was talking about, like, there's two thoughts of theories, or there's two thoughts of theories. What is it? Yes. Okay. So two theories. Tool of thought, whatever.
Two thoughts on theory.
Yeah, whatever.
Something
you guys
like
know
that.
what I'm saying. I'm the worst at those things.
Yeah.
Whenever it comes to like trying to figure out, I can never get them right. But one of them is that, yes, it is. It's replacing the way that people search, right? So people are no longer going to go to Google and type in, how do I make this, right? Now I'm going to go to ChatGPT and say, how do I make this? And Danny Sullivan even said this the other day. He goes, when you go to YouTube because AI is changing so much, and the web is updating every second, right? There's constantly like new content. So AI has to constantly figure out what's out there. And when somebody searches, I want to make a chicken recipe, AI will be like, or ChatGPT or Grok or whatever will kind of pull up this huge list of recipes that nobody's ever made before, because it just made it up on the fly.
Yeah.
It probably works, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's scanning the entire web and it's pulling content together.
Yeah.
And it's saying, based on my knowledge of 10 seconds, not even that, a millisecond, and my quick little research, this is, I think, how you make chicken salad. Right? And you read it and it probably would taste good. But
that's what amazes me, because the information you get from it, you're like, I mean, even when I utilize it for, I guess, because it takes away having to think about certain things you want to implement in what you're doing. By you just saying key phrases, and it just giving you everything that you need, that you would say, that sounds right. but it's knowing how to use that content and it's kind of like almost you still have to scan the content in there and make sure that the quality control of that content is actually something that is going to be able to be used.
Sometimes it makes stuff up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you. I don't know if I'd trust it on like how to give CPR.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, we should, but like I've even used it through troubleshooting on code because I use it a lot from an ideation perspective. Like I have been doing things for code a certain way for a long time, or I've been building things a certain way because they've worked, right? But asking AI, hey, here's my approach, and AI says, that's a great approach. It's always got to give you a high five, right? You're always, it's got to do its part. Even if you're wrong, it's still like, good thinking. But it's really helped me think outside the box, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, it's like having another coworker sitting next to you that has a whole different lens of experience, that has spent their whole life developing in a different, they're building the same products, but they're just doing it differently, different approaches, different backgrounds, different education, right? I've become so much more efficient. I'm building tools better because of AI.
Yeah.
I'm not letting it do it for me, but I'm letting it help guide me and ideate and open up my mind a little bit more to like my way of doing things, because it's not always the only way, you know? Sometimes I'm like, oh, well, that's a lot easier than I've been doing it.
Yeah, and that's the great thing, is being able to utilize it as a tool, not as this is Bible for me. I mean, if you're using it as a tool to get you to where you need to go, and I've had people ask like, well, how does that look for me as growing my website, growing my social media page, everything. And it really depends, for me, my experience anyway, for me, it really depends on, are you gonna kind of conform to what works, or are you gonna stick to what your goal is? Because sometimes sticking organically what your goal is, your growth isn't going to be always what you want to see it. Yeah. But if you're looking at just kind of conforming to a certain, I guess, a template of what works, what AI, what search engine you're using, say it works, and you see growth, but it's not organically the way you wanted to present yourself. And sometimes I think people get lost in that. Yeah. And that's the dangers of using AI and kind of the way we use SEO, because
don't use it to write all your content. Just saying. Use it to ideate but there's more strategy. That's another piece, is can I just use AI to write my entire website? Yeah. You can, but at the same time you can't when it comes to strategy.
And it's funny because you kind of told me a story about when your son was applying. It was for college. Hopefully he's not listening to this.
He probably will, but that's all right.
It was for it was for marketing.
It was for a scholarship.
For a scholarship.
So,
And he was getting his degree in
he's going to be a physical therapist. And
so he writes this paper and kind of let AI guide his.
Well, he didn't tell me that.
Okay.
At first, you want me to say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So he tells me, hey, I have this opportunity for this scholarship. They want me to write it on digital marketing. And I'm like, of course, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I know, I really want to see your take, like do research. I'd love to read it, right? When you're done. So he's like, okay, yeah, I will. And then he gets quiet, and then it's been like a week, 2 weeks. And I'm like, whatever happened to that, like digital marketing? Did you write it? He's like, yeah, I already sent it. And I'm like, well, send it to me. And he's like, okay, it takes a few days. And then he sends it to me, and it's like this encyclopedia for for digital marketing. Like, I'm reading it, and it's like talking about lingo that I only know because I've been working in the industry for 25 years. Like stuff that when people know their stuff, because in any industry, music, same thing. Yes. Somebody who's just starting, they just don't fully understand it, and they're stumbling over words, because they're figuring it out. But the longer you're in it, the more you just are comfortable and you know the terms and you know everything. I was like, dude, you don't need college. I'm hiring you tomorrow. That was like in the beginning of ChatGPT. Like,
Yeah.
when they were all trying to figure it out. And I'm like, did you use ChatGPT for this? I'm like, because
It's like,
they know.
well,
They
yes.
know.
Yeah, and it's I mean, there's a lot of dangers to it. I mean, it's such a cool tool, but utilizing, like I said, even in what I'm doing right now with my podcast, do I want 1 million subscribers? That would be great.
Yeah.
But am I going to conform to what AI tells me what I need to do that? There has to be a balance, right?
Yeah.
And that's going even to our clients. Our clients, we want them to grow, but we want them to grow in a way that's organic, like geared towards their customers.
Yeah.
Because we could give our customers 1 million hits on their website, but how many of those hits actually mattered?
How many converted?
Yeah.
Like how many solved the problem that
Yeah.
you were trying to solve?
Yeah, we're getting a bunch of traffic, but no leads have come from this traffic.
Yeah, and there's two thoughts on that, which is, or not two thoughts, but there's two, that you hear a lot as like a small or medium-sized business. It's like, if you ever get somebody that calls you and says, hey, I can get you on the first page of Google tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Don't believe it. It's, number one, not possible. The only way that it's possible is by buying ads.
Yeah.
And if you're buying it, you're paying them to do something you can just do.
Yes.
So that's like one of the biggest scams out there when you get those, and a lot of people fall for them because you get these random emails from your website.
Give me $1,000.
And I'll get you on Google tomorrow. And you Google it, and yes, you're number one, but it's just a paid ad.
And they paid $800 for ads and took $200 for themselves.
Yeah.
And they
and that's not bad in itself, but what's bad is there's no strategy behind that. Like they're driving traffic to your homepage that isn't thoughtful. It isn't like, marketing's all about like intent and meeting people where they're at, right?
Yes.
So if I'm a business owner and I'm looking for a software product to help with my accounting, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to search accountant software for small business, right? I'm going to hit enter. And then all of a sudden I'm going to see this ad that's going to pop up and it's like accounting software. I click it and it takes me to a homepage that's not geared towards what I'm looking for. It's like, we are an accountant software, we do blah, 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 we do all this stuff. Like the goal is we need to take this user to a page that talks about, we do small business accounting software. It's easy.
Yeah.
We take the stress out. Just download this, link your bank account, bam, right? It's very geared and focused towards intent and solving a problem. That's strategy.
Yeah.
That's what people need to solve problems.
Yes. Yeah, I agree, man. It's all of this, like I said, this is a new world to me, but it's been the education behind what we're doing this week has been irreplaceable for me.
Yeah.
Because of, I mean, it's only going to help myself, yourself, whoever's here to get to that next level of what they're doing. So, man, I appreciate you coming on. I'm excited. I'm so glad that you're a part of my next and what I'm doing. And whatever comes of this is just, I think the results are limitless of what we could do with this. So, man, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Being a part of this, and we have another night, so let's
go do it.
Let's go do it.
Let's go experience some more of Portland.
Yeah. And it is my wife's birthday today. This is going to be aired on Monday, but happy birthday to my wife. And love you, and thank you for letting me be out here because this means a lot for us and our next. So everybody, thank you. Joe, appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
We'll see you.
Play, 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 play. Put on